files will have the extension .js. So I will add a new file, your wish, where you want to keep it. You can keep outside it in a separate folder or in the same folder. Where you kept it, the path you have to know. Now I kept in the same JavaScript folder. I am adding a new file. I will give the name as a print.js. So JavaScript files are saved with extension .js. They are saved with extension .js. Enter. In that JavaScript file, we have to write the function. And after writing the functions in JavaScript file, we can link the file to any page. CSS files are linked by using link tag. JavaScript files are linked by using the script tag only. We have to use script src, source is equal to from which file it is coming. So the JavaScript file name print.js. That means the functions that are written in that file are now accessible in your page. So any page that wants that print functionality, then it can access and use that file. I will save this and I will refresh and click on print page. Now it is working fine. But this time the JavaScript functions are not present in the same page. They are in a separate file and they are accessed from that file. That means JavaScript functions are defined in a separate external file, So JavaScript files will have the extension .js, so that you can link the file to any HTML page and access the functions from any page This is same like external CSS file. Now, what is the drawback of maintaining a separate external file? What is the drawback of external file? Tell me. You know the drawback of external CSS file, na? What is the drawback of external file? What is problem in external file? Anyone can answer about that? Inline embedded external file. What is the problem in external file? Can you answer about that? Yes. It increases the page loading time. Am I right? Why it will increase the page loading time? Why it will increase the page loading time? Because it increases the page loading time because the number of requests will increase. You are missing the key point. You should answer in a technical way. That technical answer I already given you while giving the concept about CSS. At that time I told you, if you learn here correctly, don't need to waste time in JavaScript understanding all this, because already same. So what is the problem in using external file? Technically, how to answer? External files will increase the number of requests for page. That means using an external file will increase the number of requests, for page, will increase the number of requests for page, and also the page load time. That is the problem with external files. That is the reason unnecessarily we cannot use external file. How it increases the number of requests and the page load time, I already showed you in CSS concept. So no need to explain that again here. So you can open Internet Explorer, you can go to debugger, there you can track the time and you can see how much time it is loading, right? So example, first point, add a new file into project by name print.js. Into that print.js, we have to add this function. Then go to HTML page, the link script file. And how to link the script file? This is the HTML page code. And this is the HTML page code. So JavaScript can be used in HTML in 3 ways: inline, embedded, and external file. Already these all techniques are same like CSS, so we don't need to spend much time here. Okay. Next important is we need to know about JavaScript MIME type. Already I told you this in CSS also. CSS also have a MIME type. MIME type is multi-purpose internet email extensions, mail extensions, multi-purpose internet mail extensions, MIME. You know that. So MIME type specifies the media type of that particular file. It specifies the media type of file. And very important is, if a browser can understand the media type of file that you are including, what type of content you are including, then it is easy for a browser to translate. Why? Because remember one point, the script element element can be used for both server side and client side script. So one of the main problem is script element is used for both server side and client side script. In that case, it is important to define the MIME type for script, so that browser can easily understand the type. So JavaScript MIME type can be defined as MIME type can be defined as text/JavaScript. This indicates that the text belongs to JavaScript family. Any technology, because many technologies are using JavaScript family. That means Angular JS, jQuery, React JS, all these are JavaScript family. So when you write the script, it is important to tell which type of script it is, the MIME type, so that browsers can easily understand the type. And JavaScript MIME type is defined by using text/JavaScript, or you can also define by using language is equal to JavaScript. So when you write script in a page, it is important to tell whether it is client side or server side, what type of script it is. So for that server side, different methods are there which different technologies use. For server side, you will learn when you are dealing with server side how to write server side script. But for client side scripts, JavaScript, it is important to define the MIME type as JavaScript. Currently, it will work without that also, no problem. But it is good to define, because at any stage, if browser is unable to understand, MIME type will help it. That's the reason we have to define whenever you write the script, either you write embedded or you write external file, it is important to define the MIME type. Type is equal to text/JavaScript. Or you can write like this. You can define the text type like this as text/JavaScript. Or you can also write in this way. Instead of type, you can also write language is equal to JavaScript. You can write like this. JavaScript or JavaScript. Language equal to JavaScript. Both will work. Both are not required. Any one is enough. It is working fine, same normal. But it is easy for a browser to understand. So you can use text/JavaScript, or you can also use this method. So you can also use language as JavaScript. So here you can also write this, or you can also write in this way. That is how we can configure the script. So whenever we are writing the script, it is important to understand about the MIME types. Generally for CSS, what we do, we write text/CSS. That is the MIME type for CSS files. For JavaScript, we have to use text/JavaScript, or we can write language JavaScript. Both are same. And important, any one is enough. Both are not required, right? Technically, one important point is how to make browser understand about what kind of file you are linking. So any external file when we link, MIME type is important. That's the reason we have to define the MIME type. Okay. So this point also clear. First point, in how many ways you can put JavaScript into HTML? Inline, embedded, external file. Second point is how to define the MIME type when you are writing the script. That is also important. Next point is, another important point is, when you are writing JavaScript, we need to know how to write JavaScript for legacy browsers. JavaScript for legacy browsers. Legacy means old version browsers, very old version browsers. So that means legacy browsers are old version browsers, Legacy browsers are old version browsers. They are very old version browsers. Technically, old version browsers cannot understand the new features, and unable to identify several JavaScript functions and scripting techniques. Several JavaScript functions and scripting techniques. That is the reason a developer should write in such a way that old version browsers also can easily understand the new techniques that you are using in script. Otherwise, they simply block it. They will not allow to run the script. That means they think that you are writing something suspicious, which is dangerous, like spams, and immediately it will block it. Modern browsers can understand. So you have two types of browsers, legacy browsers and modern browsers. Important, legacy browsers can handle only up to HTML4 and JavaScript ES4. ES4 is not there. That means up to ES3 and ES3. ES6, HTML5, ES7, ES8, HTML5 related features, they can't handle. That is legacy browser. In many interviews, they ask this question even for experienced people also. What is legacy browser? What is modern browser? What do you know about it? Modern browsers can understand HTML5 and higher version. And modern browsers can understand ES5 and higher versions also. That's the reason the new technologies are providing library for both versions internally, like React.js, Node.js, and any technology, Angular. These technologies, when they are dealing with JavaScript, because they finally everyone have to use JavaScript. When they are using JavaScript, they are using two types of libraries for JavaScript. One library for legacy, another library for modern browsers. And they load according to which browser the request is coming. This technique in software technology is called as differential loading. Differential loading. So differential loading is a technique where library is divided into two. One for legacy browsers, another for modern browsers. If request is coming from an old version browser, then the legacy library will load. If it is coming from modern browser, then the modern library will load. That means actually a developer who builds the functions and libraries, he need to write in such a way that they should work for a legacy browser also. In modern browser, however, they will work. In legacy browser also, they have to work. So differential loading is nothing but it is a technique. It is a technique where library will be differentiated and loaded according to this legacy and modern. It is very advanced concept actually now. So, and for experienced people also, they ask this question very much because this is very much trending now. All technologies are concentrating on this very much. Why? Because if they use different, because all web applications problem is you can't say that everybody can use only advanced version of browser, because you see some computers, laptops, desktops, they have low memory, then they will not upgrade to advanced versions. The latest version of Windows is Windows 10. What do you think? Everybody is using Windows 10. Huh? We have still computers today who are using Windows XP also, even today. That means because their machines will not support all. That's the reason they will be using only what fits into them. Then what happens? Our logic, our website will not function on their browsers properly. It should not be like that. It should work everywhere. Then the question here is how we write for legacy browsers. What is the point actually? Logically, techniques are so many there. So coding part here. How do we write functions? I will show you. I am removing the script. I am not using from external file. Currently, it is not working. I am clicking on print page. It is not working. Let's go and write a script. Okay. This script is using type as text/JavaScript. Okay. And when you want to write functions so that they are understandable to even old version of browser, then you have to write them in HTML comments. You have to write them in HTML comments. HTML comments are written like this. You have to write in HTML comments. Script is written in HTML comments. And here we are defining the functions. Here we are defining the functions. Here we are defining the functions. Here we are defining the function. And the function name is printing. And this function has to perform a functionality some window.print. Like this we are writing. Remember, these are HTML comments. Why you are writing JavaScript function in HTML comments? This type of technique of writing JavaScript you will see only from very experts in programming. That means 8-10 years experienced person. When he is writing JavaScript, he have an habit of writing this because he is very well experienced. He knows so many situations. He knows that the legacy and modern browser pain. Then he obviously writes like this. Very few locations. So you will see anybody recommending you to write like this. So you will see this type of technique followed by experts in programming, experts in web design. These 2, 3, 4 years experienced people who are joining 5 years back, 3 years back as programmers, even they don't know that it is written like that. Even they don't know about legacy and this. They don't have an habit of writing like this, right? But experts know these techniques. And they are very much concerned about that because they know that the functions will have abnormal functionality when they go to legacy browsers. So they should not take a chance. That's the reason they have an habit of writing this. Now I will save this here. I'm saving this here. I will refresh the page and click on print page. You can see it is working fine. But observe carefully. It is working fine. But observe carefully. I am writing in HTML comments. Function is written in HTML comments. Now, if anybody shows you this code and asks you, can you explain why anybody is writing like this? Why you have to write like this? Then immediately a person who knows about it tells that you are targeting for legacy browser. That means you are targeting your functions for legacy browser. So that legacy browsers can easily understand what you are writing. They can translate what you are writing, right? So it is very important for a developer to write like this, especially when he thinks that his website is going to be accessed by very old browsers. So old version browsers, that is the legacy browsers. That is the important part. So let's see how we can manage that. That's later you will learn so many things, but this is one example, right? Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, so this is the basic point, right? So I will copy this, and I will add here an example. This is how we write for the modern. The modern browsers. We define and write for the modern browsers. the script is written for legacy browsers. Obviously, it is going to work for both modern and legacy browsers. But remember, this is just to make it compatible. We need to change so many things in the logic while writing for legacy browsers. That is the reason what happens now is the libraries are designed in such a way that they will change the functions according to how they can understand. That you will understand and learn in later stages. Means how to write for old version, how to write for modern, what differences are there. You will see once we start working with JavaScript. But including this is very much important when you are writing JavaScript functions. So this is one important point about legacy browsers. How do we deal with legacy browsers? Okay, code targeting for legacy browser. So that is one point. Next, another important point is JavaScript strict mode. This is another point. You cannot become a simple JavaScript programmer without knowing all the standards of programming and coding and all the consequences, right? Learning JavaScript is not just about write a small function and run in HTML. In a real world development environment, you need to know all the standards coding and you need to follow them. Actually, so we are learning all those points. Actually, JavaScript strict mode. That means in computer programming, we have good coding, bad coding mechanism. For example, I will tell you a simple thing. Suppose you learnt any language and you know any language. You learnt and you know any language. Then you need to deal with that. You need to deal with that. So for example, you have an if condition. So I write if condition and I return statement if true and else statement if false. Actually, in general programming, if I write like this, remember, actually after if condition, there should be a flower brace open and flower brace close. If I don't write that flower brace also, right, it will work, no problem. That means you can write, so in this way, you can write in this way, if condition and no flower brace, that means no block is defined, it will work, it will execute this first statement, it will execute this first statement. But this is bad coding. That's not good coding. As per the standards of coding, you should not do so. You may tell that my faculty who told me about the language, he said that this is shortcut of writing, right? So obviously your faculty is not great than the people who built that language, right? That means your trainer who trained you a language, you cannot say that he is better than the people who built that language. That's like foolish joke, right? What the people who built that language tell about that rules of writing the language. That's what actually you can get that information from PMD, Sonar, like code analyzers. Actually, these are code analyzing softwares. I will tell you, JavaScript standards are maintained by ECMS. Am I right? Now we will open this website, PMD. This is PMD. This is the official website of PMD. Actually, it is a code analyzer. That means when a programmer writes the code according to the standards, it will verify is it good code or bad code. You go to documentation here. Actually, you can download and install for your programming languages, right? So here, go to documentation. In the documentation, left side, you will see rule reference is present. Rule reference. Click on that. You see ECMA script rules, Java rules. Go to ECMA script rules. In that, you see best practices, code styles. So many are there. I will go to best practices. So code styles. When I go to that code styles, you can see if else statements. I click on that. And you can see that it says that if you write if statement with block, that is okay. Without block, that is bad. That means it says that bad. Now, who is saying this? The people who built the language, the people who maintains the standards of that language. And what do you say? Your faculty is greater than these people, huh? And he will tell you some shortcuts and you follow blindly, right? No, we can't follow such code violations. Due to that, so many technical issues may come in later stages when we are handling that application. That's the reason a software developer, when he is writing, he need to know the standards of coding. Without following the standards also, he can write. It will work also. But why do you think a flower base is given? A flower base is given to tell that here execution starts and here execution ends. Why you are not writing flower base? You may think that you are writing in a shortcut way, but you are telling the compiler that we are telling the compiler that I am not telling where to start, where to stop. You think by yourself where to start and stop. That is nonsense coding, right? That means what? You are testing compiler that you think where to start, where to stop. That means a compiler should exactly know where to start and stop. If you tell it, then it will be fast in interacting with you. That's the reason many unnecessary shortcuts are used by developers, which will violate the coding and they will have a lot of technical issues for future. Remember, this is from the people who built this language. That means these are the rules mentioned by the people who built this language. These are ECMA standard rules actually. Now the point here is developers, when they write the logic, they can violate the coding logics. How? I will tell you. For example, in the script I am writing a function f1 and we call the function. Okay, don't worry about function, where to write, where to call. This all you will learn later. You need to just concentrate on concept, right? Here the point is, first point here is, the first important point here is, when we are defining the function, suppose I said x equal to 10 and I am printing it, x is equal to plus x. I am printing the value of x. And remember, as a programmer, it is very basic that x is a variable. Whenever you are using a variable, it is important to declare a variable and use it. But currently, I am not declaring it. Directly, I am using it. Variable is not declared anywhere. So as per the programming standards, using the variable without declaring the variable is always not good. That will later create a lot of issues. Now see what happens. I will refresh and run this, and you can see it is working fine. X equal to 10 is working fine. It is working fine. I will remove rest of the code here. Okay, you can see that it is working fine, no problem. I will open debugger, F12, it opens debugger. In the debugger, in the console, you can see, there are no problems, there is no error. It is working fine. There is no error. But at certain stage, at certain situations, it will create a technical problem. That's the reason we should ask the developers not to write coding in abnormal ways, not to violate the rules. We need to force the developers to follow the rules and write according to the rules. Then what we can do is, we can ask the developers to keep JavaScript always in strict mode. What is JavaScript strict mode? JavaScript strict mode will not allow the developers to violate the rules of the language. That means strict mode will not allow developers to violate, right? So to violate the rules, to violate the standards of coding, So that is important. So they cannot violate the coding. That means in a simple way, first I will tell you. That means every programming language have specific coding standards to follow. JavaScript follows ECMA script standards. JavaScript follows ECMA script standards. And developers may violate the coding rules, while writing the code. Strict mode will not allow such code. That means will not allow the code that is not according to standards. Strict mode will not allow the code that is not according to the standards. And you can turn on JavaScript strict mode by using use strict. So when you are writing JavaScript, it is important to define JavaScript in strict mode. Now, how do we define JavaScript in strict mode? Let's see. Currently, it is working. Even though the developer is not following the standards of coding, it is working. Then let's go and here turn on the strict mode. How to turn on the strict mode? Wherever you are writing the functions, just above the function, above all the functions, it can be in separate file or it can be embedded. Just above all the functions, you have to use strict and semicolon. It will turn on the strict mode for JavaScript. Now it will not violate the rules. It will force the developers to write as per the standards. I will save this. I will save this. I will save this. And I will refresh. I will refresh. You can see this time it is not working. There is an error here. Right side you can see the error. It says that X is not defined. It is not showing this problem. It is not showing this problem earlier. If I remove the strict mode and I run this, there is no problem. It is working. Now also X is not defined, but it works. No, it should not be like that. Then we turn on the strict mode and refresh. Now it is not working. That means now it is mandatory for a developer to declare a variable var X, then use it. And you can see that it is working fine. Where to declare variable? Can I declare after using, before using? So many points are there. Don't hurry into that. Later we will learn about that. Because those are all the concepts you will learn about declaration of variables. Don't worry about that. That is not the point I am discussing here. The point I am discussing here is violating the coding rules. Now I will save this and refresh. Now it is working fine. It is working fine. That means when you are not using strict mode, now it works fine, because in strict mode, if you are not using strict mode, even you don't declare variable, it will work. I am not declaring variable. I am not declaring variable. Still it works, no problem. But when I put the strict mode and I am not declaring the variable, then it shows an error. It shows an error. Then we need to turn on the strict mode and we need to declare the variable. Then it will work. Then it will work. It's fine. So this is what actually strict mode. So when you write JavaScript, you need to know about strict mode of JavaScript. Generally, we do that in this way. So a simple syntax. How do we write the strict mode? So this is a simple syntax of strict mode. And if I don't write like this, now what happens is, now it says X not defined. So that means it is an error. It is an error. X not defined. That means in strict mode, you have to declare the variables. So in strict mode, we have to declare a variable. That means to solve this problem, what we have to do, var X. So, or initialize X equal to 10. Now this is fine. This is fine. Right? These are important points about how do we write JavaScript in strict mode. So this is the basic point about JavaScript. So still we haven't done anything in programming. We just learned in how many ways JavaScript is written. In how many ways JavaScript is written. We just learned in how many ways we can handle it. In how many ways we can handle it. Right? Inline, embedded, CSS, external file. And the point, how we can turn on the strict mode. What is strict mode? Another point, how we can target to legacy browsers. So these are the basic points. And how do we define the MIME type? Now, after understanding this, now we need to learn how to use JavaScript with our HTML. How JavaScript handles HTML, how it manipulates HTML, how it takes control of the DOM, the programming we will start working now. For that, we need to know some more references, right? That we will discuss in tomorrow's session. Hope you understood today's concept, right? Tomorrow we will continue with this, and tomorrow we will start working with it practically with some exercises, right? So these are the basics of JavaScript to understand before starting the programs, right? After you know all this, then we can start working with this. Okay, tomorrow we'll continue with this. Thank you.